Hey everyone, Arjun Chandy here. Here's a small tutorial on the basics of arranging and specifically vocal arranging. I've made a couple of charts that you can follow that hopefully will help you better understand harmonic progressions and vocal arranging, stacking, and those kinds of things. Check it out and hope you like it. One of the first steps to arranging is first understanding the melody and the melodic progression. You write down that progression using the letter names of the key of the song. So instead of using letters, I like to use numbers because numbers can apply to any key. So if you're looking at C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you can put that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Similarly, in the key of F sharp can also be 1. So it saves you the trouble of having to figure out letter names and putting accidentals and all those kinds of things. So here's a chart with the basic notes within the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And I have put their corresponding triads as well. And within each triad you have the major and minor option of each chord. So this is a great chart to follow at a very basic, rudimentary level when trying to figure out how to put chords to a song. So for example, if we take the song Mary Had a Little Lamb. First thing you do is you put the melody down. And in this case it's E, D, C, D, E, 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 if you're in the key of C. Now if you don't want to worry about the key so much in case you want to do it in a different key, you can put numbers instead. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. So that's your melody line. Step 2 is now you figure out options of what chords you can put. For that you look back to this chart. So for the first chord on Mary we have E, D, or 3, 2. So now we look to our chart and we see what chords have E in it. So you look and we have C major here as an option. We have E minor, and we have A minor. So those are the chords that have the letter E in them. So for now, let's put C major as the first chord from Mary. So we already have E, so now we need to fill it up with the other notes. So we have G and C. Your next syllable is Mary, and that's D or 2. So now we look back to our chart, and we see what chords have the letter D. We have D major or D minor here. When we look, we have G major or G minor, and we have B diminished. So for now, let's put G major. So we'll put G major. D is already in the chord in the melody. We need to fill it up with the other notes. So we can put G, B. So now, I've just completed the rest of the phrase, and we have a chord progression now. C major, G major, A minor, D minor, C major, E minor, C major. So this is a first line of Mary Had a Little Lamb. So this chart is a great idea at understanding the basics of how to put chords to a song. Once you have this chart and idea in your head, then putting the rest of the chords and adding other layers becomes much easier once you have that foundation set. So the tune I've selected to show you a vocal arranging demonstration is the classic tune Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'm going to show you how it can be arranged and how it would sound if it were arranged and sung as a ballad or arranged and sung as an uptune. So here we have the melody of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I'll first start off by showing the version as a ballad. So after writing the melody, I'll think of a harmony part I can put under it, and I'll write one out for you and you'll see how it sounds.
Way up, way up high.
So now we've got the second part written down. Let's think of a third part.
Over the rainbow, way up high.
Let's add a fourth. So now we've got 4 parts written out, and this is actually good enough, but just to give it some extra color, here and there I'm going to add just some bass fills underneath. So we've got the first line done. Let's finish off the rest of the phrase. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. So here's the melody.
There's a land that I heard of once in a There's a land that I heard of There's a land that I heard of once. There's a land that I heard of once.
So here's the ballad portion of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and as you can see, the fifth part that I've added, I haven't put it throughout the whole song. I've put it here and there just to give certain chords a little bit of more depth in it. Here's how the whole thing now sounds together when it's all stacked. The first half of this ballad arrangement is a tribute to my mentor, Jim Clancy. The first half, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Way Up High, is taken from Jim's arrangement of the Somewhere medley that he had arranged for the vocal majority chorus. So now we've completed the ballad version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Here's how it can be done as an uptune. Now I've written this as a swing uptune that's very similar to how old big bands used to play. And if you're unfamiliar with big band is the kind of orchestra that someone like Frank Sinatra would have behind him while he sang. A lot of horn sections. So the style of writing will be a lot of close voiced harmonies, and you'll notice that each of the parts, aside from the melody, moves in a very sort of linear way with not too many leaps. But when you hear all the chords sound together, it sounds a lot more intricate than each part actually is. So it's a nice little trick.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Way up high, there's a land that I heard of. Why then, oh, why can't I?
So that's the melody line, and you heard a couple of things I did in there. You heard there's a key change. We're starting from that key, then we go to that key. And if you heard on the second time somewhere, you heard something that's called a batwing. And that's an old big band method where the arranger and the horn players would play a chord and then they would in sync move together. And it's called a batwing because when it shows up as a waveform, it looks like a batwing. And at the very end, you heard the last note held out for a long time. That's because there's going to be a bunch of chords underneath that are moving. This is something that's called a tag. You'll hear how it sounds when it's all stacked together.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of. Why then, oh, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Can't I? Can't I? Why can't I? Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of. Why then, oh, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Can't I? Can't I? Why can't I?
And now let's add the fourth part.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up There's a land that I heard of. Why then, oh, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Can't I? Can't I? Why can't I?
So here's how it would sound when all those parts are now stacked together. And I've added some vocal bass line just to give it a little bit more of a rhythmic feel. Some of the things you should listen for while you're listening to this arrangement is a couple of little tricks you can use while arranging, which is you can repeat the chord multiple times in different inversions, and it'll sound like you're using 5 different chords when in fact you're using just one chord stacked in 3-4 different ways. So the words "Over the Rainbow," the melody numbers are 7, 5, 6, 7. So 7, 5, and 7, since they're there, one chord that has both of those numbers is a 3 minor chord. 3 minor is 3, 5, 7. So I've taken that 3 minor chord and I've stacked it differently. And in this case, it's a 3 minor 7. Listen for that. Another word you should listen for is way up. Melody numbers are 1, 6. That's the melody line. So I thought of a chord that has 1 and 6. And in this case, I used a 2 minor 7. 2 minor 7 is 2, 4, 6, 1. So I took way up, and if you listen, it's 4 chords, but it's only a 2 minor 7 stacked differently each time. So when you listen to it, it sounds like 4 different chords, when in fact it's only a 2 minor 7. So the last thing you should listen for is the key change. The key change, as you would notice, is on the word lullaby. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby, lullaby. That second lullaby, I've key changed up 1 semitone. Now whenever you want to do a key change, regardless of what key you're in, if you want to go up 1 semitone, the key chord is the flat 6. Because if you're in the key of C, for example, the flat 6 is an A flat. In the key of C sharp, A flat or G sharp is your 5. So you want to end, while you're in the key of C, end on a chord that easily transitions into C sharp. And that chord is A flat, because A flat, C, E flat is a 5 chord actually in C sharp. It's a G sharp chord. Now in that chord, the C, when you're in the key of C, C is 1. But in the key of C sharp, C is 7. So 7 acts as what's called a leading tone. So when you end on that A flat, it resolves nicely into C sharp. And that's a nice trick to know a basic trick to know when trying to do a key change up 1 semitone in this example. So keeping in mind all of those things I just mentioned, now give it a listen.
Over the rainbow, way up, high, 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 high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby, lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up, high, 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 high. There's a land that I heard of. Why then, oh, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Can't I? Can't I? Why can't I?
So that was just a small demonstration on the basics of vocal arranging. But hopefully this is a brief, maybe a guide and an introduction to arranging and specifically vocal arranging. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll post more videos of this kind of stuff soon.